Racism and racial inequalities are a difficult topic to discuss, especially when we live in communities that do not have a whole lot of diversity, or if they have diversity, oftentimes groups may not be intermingling. One thing that we do know is that the more we get to know about somebody's culture and their background, the better understanding we have of them, and stronger bonds can be formed, which is why something like Parade of Nations that happens in the Houghton Hancock area, it has a real positive impact on our community. So over the last decade or so, we've seen a lot of examples of how things like racism and racial inequality still exist within our society. Are we at the point of slavery? Obviously not. That being said, there are still types of slavery that do exist in our society. Sex trafficking, labor slavery still exists. If you're interested, there was a TV show that had 3 seasons called American Crime Story, and the last season had to do with kind of modern day slavery. But even if we're not seeing that type of racial inequality, we still have microaggressions that happen on a fairly regular basis through social media or just regular interactions. I mean, this past week we saw a news story about how a couple asked for a different waitress. They wanted a white waitress and not a minority person. If you like reading fictional stuff, Jodi Picoult's, one of her most recent books was about a similar situation with a family who didn't want a black nurse, and kind of what happened with that situation. I've taught this course, sociology, for a long time, and it seems like there tend to be more and more examples of different racial situations to talk about. And obviously these are very heated topics. As far as some of the Native American stuff that we covered this week, there is a wonderful author and researcher named Eduardo Duran, D-U-R-A-N, and he's got a great book that he wrote called Soul Wound, which is about the intergenerational trauma that is passed on even generations after things like slavery and forced assimilation. So hopefully you'll check out some of those resources and continue to stay open-minded about wherever you fall on thoughts about racism. Thanks.